She's a certified yapper, but looks good doing it.
Gabby, I love you.
It must suck being that hot.
What up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Gabby. Hi. Hey. Oh my God. If you're not subscribed yet, you need to subscribe. If you're not following my socials, my TikTok and my Instagram are down below. Oh my God. Thank you all for being here. If you haven't watched my little show, Interview with the Indies, where I interview indie wrestlers around the Gulf Coast, you need to go watch that. You'll get some great insight. You'll learn something new. You'll learn facts. Go watch it now. Very good to watch if you're interested in becoming a wrestler. They give great advice. They're relatable. You know, like, they're regular people like us, y'all. They're regular people. Today, we're going to be reacting to 10 biggest WWE Wrestlemania burials.
When you think of WrestleMania, you might first think of the huge marquee matches that allow the performers in them to shine their brightest on WWE's grandest stage. This isn't always the case, however. Sometimes a wrestler will turn up to the biggest show of the year only to have their asses handed to them in front of tens of thousands of people and millions more watching around the world. Some of these stars managed to bounce back from their Mania hidings, whilst for others, it was the beginning of the end. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 biggest burials in WrestleMania history. Join us. Number 10, Red-Faced Ryder. After having the temerity to get over on his own organically thanks to his hit YouTube show Z True Long Island Story, WWE set to work putting Zack Ryder back in his place. Yes, Ryder won the US title at TLC 2011, but he lost it a month later and duly became the saddest sap to ever appear on WWE TV during a storyline that saw him get battered by Kane and John Cena cuck him by making out with Eve right in front of his face. Still, the exposure got Zack a spot on the Team Johnny vs Team Teddy 12-man tag at WrestleMania 28, where he surely couldn't be humiliated anymore, right? Representing Team Teddy, Ryder was distracted by Eve and pinned by The Miz, costing Long the match along with the opportunity to become the general manager of both Raw and SmackDown. Oh, but it wasn't over because Eve stuck the dagger in further by kicking Zack low and hard.
Why Booker T look like Booker T like, oh my God, bro, what is going on?
Giving a boo-boo in his woo-woo-woos. Might want to put some ice on that Long Island iced pea, mate. Number 9, more like Lex Loser. WrestleMania 10 is famous for having 2 scheduled World Championship matches on the same night. The second one, the one that closed the show, saw Bret Hart defeat Yokozuna to reclaim the top prize and end the night on a high. But what about the one that happened an hour or so earlier? That bout featured All-American hero Lex Luger going up against the faux Japanese Menace. The Total Package, one of the co-winners of the 1994 Royal Rumble alongside Hart, was always destined to lose the contest. However, they didn't have to do him this dirty. Luger failed to unseat the super heavyweight, not because he was pinned or submitted, but because he got into an argument with special guest referee Mr. Perfect. After a disagreement with Perfect, Luger shoved the official, who then took about 10 years to register the push before calling for the bell. Whilst WWE were undoubtedly trying to keep Luger strong by not pinning him, they had actually accidentally made him look like a complete dunce in the process. He never got a sniff of the main event again, as the company instead chose to focus on their shiny new pink and black toy. Number 8, Baszler bites the dust. Over the course of this story, Shayna Baszler is going to get screwed over not once, but twice. The first instance took place at the 2020 Royal Rumble. Baszler, who was making her main roster debut, dominated the women's match, scoring 8 eliminations, and then what happened? Charlotte Flair eliminated her to win. Oh well, she can win the Elimination Chamber instead, then she can face Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 36, win the Raw Women's Championship, and go on a dominant run. Oh, how naive we all were back then. Whilst Baszler did win the Chamber in one of the worst matches in the stipulation's history, I might add, she didn't get the job done against the man. Lynch retained to cap off a feud that memorably involved the Queen of Spades biting the man in the neck like she was auditioning for a part in Twilight 12 years too late. To make matters even worse, Lynch would soon announce that she would be vacating the belt due to her being pregnant. Lovely news for Lynch and all, obviously, but poor Shayna. Number 7, Rowan hits rock bottom. Unfortunately, this won't be the only time we'll be talking about the Wyatt family getting humbled at WrestleMania. At the 32nd installment of the Showcase of the Immortals, The Rock made an appearance to set his own name on fire. He did some other stuff too, but this is the only thing anybody really remembers. He was interrupted by the Wyatt family, that's Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan and Braun Strowman. Not to be intimidated by this trio of big hairy lads, The Rock challenged one of them to an impromptu match. The lucky, or as we're about to find out, unlucky representative of the backwoods cult was Rowan. The bell rang, Big Red walked right into a rock bottom, then the bell rang again. It was all over and done with in just 6 seconds. Rowan, who had once been a promising star in the Wyatt trio, had just eaten the fastest pin in WrestleMania history. If that wasn't enough, a still injured John Cena then ran out to help Rocky send the Wyatts packing. The group ended the night looking like total chumps, a far too common occurrence during this era.
You would think with how over the Wyatt family was, that they would not do that. But hey.
Number 6, not Bray's day. Told you we'd be talking about the Wyatts again. Of all the careers halted by the unstoppable power of John Cena, there is a case to be made that Bray Wyatt's was the most promising. He was young, he was talented, he had a great gimmick, he was dynamite on the mic. All he needed was a big win over a big star at a big show and his destiny would be sealed. Let's see how that pans out, shall we? At WrestleMania 30, the Eater of Worlds challenged the Eater of Fruity Pebbles to a match with Cena's very morality on the line. Wyatt was looking to tempt his foe to the dark side, to get him to embrace the hate, to borrow a phrase. However, through the power of hustle, loyalty, and brand sponsorship, Cena won the match without succumbing to temptation. He beats Bray with barely an inconvenience, setting the youngster's career back in the process. Though he would eventually become a world champion, Wyatt's aura just wasn't the same after this run-in with Big Match John. We should have known this guy was a heel all along. Number 5, go to hell, Chavo. In all the time it was a fixture of WWE programming, the ECW Championship was
I don't know why I feel that whenever Bray Wyatt will be on an incline getting up there, something happens to where he would get buried, goddamn, I feel like there was many opportunities for him to be up here, to be up there. And then he just got knocked down a peg or two each time.
It was defended just once at WrestleMania. So who was in this historic match? Tommy Dreamer, the Sandman, maybe Rob Van Dam? Nope, it was Chavo Guerrero and Kane. EC Dub, EC Dub. WrestleMania 24 was the setting for this titanic clash. The Big Red Machine had won a pre-show battle royal to earn his shot at Charvito, so surely the champion had an advantage going into this thing, right? No, clearly you've never seen pro wrestling before. Instead, Kane snuck up on the unsuspecting champ, planted him with a single chokeslam, and won the belt in an embarrassing 11 seconds. EC Dub! EC Dub! Chavo claims that Vince McMahon announced that their match had been cut for time moments before they were due to go out. McMahon thought that a quick squash would be more memorable than a 2-minute, somewhat competitive match, and he was right, but for all the wrong reasons. This was the shortest match in Mania history until Dwayne came along and took the record for himself. However, it does remain the quickest title change to ever take place on the grandest stage. Number 4, the pedigree heard round the world. Long before he was gifted with his own golden shovel, Triple H was subject to one of the most brutal put-downs in WrestleMania history. The 12th edition of the Show of Shows marked the return of a legend of the golden era, the Ultimate Warrior. Actually, this was the future Hall of Famer's second comeback, but to explain all that would take about 3 weeks. To put the icon over strong, a young wrestler was picked from the locker room. This unfortunate soul just so happened to be Mr. Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Almost as soon as the bell rang, Trips planted Warrior with a huge pedigree. So did this give him the win? Not at all. Instead, Warrior just stood right back up, completely no-selling the dreaded move. Given how dangerous the pedigree was presented throughout the game's career, watching somebody treat it like a headlock is shocking. Warrior ended up getting the win after a 99-second match. Hunter might not have won this battle, but he was going to get his WrestleMania revenge someday, even if it was against somebody completely different. Number 3, the other pedigree heard round the world. 7 years after having his pompous backside handed to him, Trips found himself on the other side of the equation. At WrestleMania 19, the H-Man defended his World Heavyweight Championship against Booker T in a match where the pieces were all there for a huge feel-good win. The game had been champion for a while, with fans having grown tired of his heel antics. Meanwhile, Booker was a popular babyface who had never been a world champion in WWE before. This was also the feud where Triple H had been implicitly racist toward his challenger, so surely the good guy had to win. Again, have you seen pro wrestling before? After a pedigree onto Booker, Triple H rolled away in exhaustion. In wrestling lexicon, this usually means that the person who just took the move kicks out at 2, having had time to recover. Not this time. It took the champion an agonizing 23 seconds, yes I counted, to crawl over to Booker, drape an arm over him, and pin him for the win. The challenger had gone from a hot prospect to a jabroni in less than half a minute, and there was no other explanation other than the champ wanting to make himself look strong. Number 2, Yoko Oh No. In 1993, WWE decided to give its Royal Rumble match some regular stakes going forward. The winner would now receive a World Championship match at Wrestlemania, with the very first man to earn this opportunity being the gigantic, ethnically confused sumo wrestler Yokozuna. The big man's match at WrestleMania 9 was against world champion Bret Hart, and it was, well, it sucked. A lethargic 9-minute affair that the challenger seemed to be out of breath for about 8 minutes of, ended when Yoko's manager Mr. Fuji threw salt in Hart's eyes to give his client the win. And then Hulk Hogan, full of patriotic rage, came down to the ring and accepted an impromptu challenge from the evil Japanese wrestler. After Fuji accidentally threw salt in his own man's face, the Hulkster hit the most American leg drop of all time to win the title in just 22 seconds. WWE had a chance to build a new star by giving Yoko a win on a huge stage, but sacrificed all of that to give Hogan one more pointless title win before he walked out the door. Politics suck, brother. Number 1, 18 seconds. In many ways, this is one of the most important squash matches in wrestling history. At WrestleMania 28, Royal Rumble winner Sheamus challenged World Heavyweight Champion Daniel Bryan to a match that should have been a runaway success. Unfortunately, in around the time it'll take me to finish this sentence, the match had already ended. This is of course the infamous 18-second match. After getting a good luck kiss from on-screen girlfriend AJ Lee, Bryan turned around directly into a Sheamus bro kick, and then one pinfall later, the Irishman was the new champ. And the fans were furious. The backlash WWE received for making Bryan look like a grade A dingus only made the increasingly popular superstar even more beloved.
It's crazy that all the times they were thinking they were burying Daniel Bryan, if that was the case, you know, we don't know. We weren't there. That he was just getting more and more love. That's crazy. The opposite effect was happening. Interesting. Also, Booker T, yeah, he should have won that, but we all know that. That's why I didn't really comment it, like, at that time, because, like, beating a dead horse here, we all know Booker T should have won against Triple H. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. Almost at 1K. Check out more videos of mine. Hello. Like, share, comment, give me some suggestions. And yeah, bye.